So let's talk about our big announcement that would happen today. Again, obviously, it was hoped to be out yesterday. It was announced it would have been out yesterday. They forgot to leave themselves their wiggle room. That's something I'm sure they'll correct in the future, whether they don't do these again or at least announce that it's going to be attempted on Monday. Well, we'd like to try to give it to you by then, but it, you know, could be a different day. I don't know. I don't know what the language is going to be. But I do know that we do have an official territory capture blog post here for what's coming, update 92, territory refresh. This is our featured highlight. This will be released on Thursday. And you can get to this link through your in-game news to take you right here. We do see that Q is messing with the timeline. Aloha, Dr. Iron Chef. Thank you for the 100 biddies. Yes, this is supposed to represent Q, I believe. We also see a variety of Spocks here in the photo. We've got an old Spock, we've got a young female Vulcan, and we've got a cat. And Retro's going to throw in 100 more bits, and now we got a hype train. Thanks, guys. Cat trying to do the live long and paw spur, I guess. Yep, I said it. We'll look at the video in just a second, including new territory capture, gameplay loops, overhauling services, new ways to earn rewards through mining, combat, and armadas. So, territory capture loop, existing territory capture system will now feature 1, 2, and 3-star isogenite mines or the 1, 2, and 3-star quantum hostiles. So if we go look at our existing territory map, so you're going to have, in your systems here that you've got 2 spots. One will have mining nodes, one will have hostiles to kill. You can mine the new isogenite if you don't feel like mining or don't want to run the risk of going OPC and have somebody kill your miner and steal all your stuff. You can choose to just go kill hostiles instead. Although I believe they mentioned something in the video about only being able to use FKR ships or the Vengeance in order to kill the hostiles. We'll get into more of that later. So that means no auto grinders, no GS31 beaming, no dauntless auto killing, which not so good, not so fun. Key features, right? Choose your path, which way you want to go. This is how you get the hostiles, discover the higher tier mines and hostiles throughout. So yes, so the tier 1 systems have weaker hostiles to kill. The tier 2 systems, they get progressively harder. Tier 1 and 2 hostiles should be reasonable for players to do today or Thursday without new content help. But if you're talking about the tier 3 and tier 4 higher level zones, that's where you're probably going to need boosts and bonuses, whether it's from the feature or research or something along those lines, right? The new content is where you're going to have to be active in order to get into the tier 3 specialty zones or be successful in those zones. New strategic opportunities for alliances competing across territory. Right. So there's a new reason they're redoing all the buffs. They're getting rid of some old buffs that just don't work. We're bringing in some new ones. That should then hopefully motivate people to actually want to change their footprint. I mean, we're getting a territory reset, I think, soon anyway, because the territory pass is already over. So we should be getting a reset sometime soon. And then now, obviously, with new buffs moving around, we'll have a reason to go to different places. New quantum hostiles, right? These are the new hostiles. Basically just saying you can go chase them. That's another way to get loot. Yep. They get more ISO damage, more ISO defense, more apex barrier, and shred. They have a crit damage floor of 300%. It can only be engaged by FKR faction ships and the Vengeance. All other ships are instantly destroyed at the start of combat. And again, I would be drastically surprised. Thank you, Happy Cat, for renewing with Twitch Prime for 12 months now. I would again be drastically surprised if it's not also immune to the cube and the GS31 cutting beams, the way a lot of other newer content has been the last 6 to 12 months. The 3-star ones here, this is what we're talking about. The Quantum Adjudicator reduces shield mitigation to 0%. So just completely bypasses your shields 100%. No shield stopping any little bits of damage. Your other mitigation methods, however, still work. So your base mitigation, I don't know if these things do ISO damage, so your ISO defense, your apex barrier, taking values right off the top, and then everything else is just going straight through to the hull. What else we got? Larger, more powerful automated vessel summoned by Q, shares the same value, carries more cargo. All right, so you've got a specialty loot goblin type ship. It's got the same values and abilities, but it's got bigger cargo capacity, so it's hauling more resources. So you get a better payout. We're used to that. We've seen that in a lot of other areas. Loot goblins. No biggie there. Let's snooze the ads for a minute while I'm in the middle of this conversation. Are they going to fly the actual correct direction? Your guess is as good as mine. Then we have the Quantum Tesseract Armadas. Territory Armadas are not a new thing. We've had them for a while before. Nobody really ever did them because all they dropped was raw isogen, which you could mine or you could OPC hunt. But wait, now there's a newer reason, right? Because this is another way to get the key source of materials that you need, but also territory capture scoring and progression. So if you are in the middle of capturing a territory and you kill an armada, similar to how you might in an arena, right? Maybe there's hostiles in the system. If you can kill them, but they're not going to score for points, but the armadas would. So if you aren't being contested and you want to run up your score, you can do some armadas. If you are being contested and you're able to start and use those tricks you've learned in arenas, because at least here in territory capture, you can cloak. So you can use cloaking and whatnot to make sure you get your armada off. It would count toward your scoring objective. And we'll have to wait and see just how exactly the values and stuff work with what you're getting paid out and how it relates to refinery values, because those are going to be drastically different per ops level, right? So, and also we don't know what point value they're given, right? You get 1 point per minute for every ship you have in there at the end of the minute. If your ship is still there, it counts 1 point toward your score. How many points is an armada going to add? Is it they're worth 50 points, 100 points, they're worth 1,000 points, you know, really motivate people to want to do them during a takeover. What's the respawn rate on them? We don't know these things. 5 minutes, 15 minutes, that obviously changes the impact. You get bonus points for doing them during the overdrive period of the takeover. Questions that need to be answered. All right. And these things obviously have the same bonuses as everything else. Now we get to the fun part. Territory Services Update. Overhaul to services. Several outdated that no longer provide meaningful value in the current game environment are going away. And there's certainly plenty of them. If we go back in here for a second and we just go look at, some of these territory services. Defense Platform Enhancer. 70% base weapon damage to my station defense platforms. That's probably not doing a whole heck of a lot. Improving my isogen refinery. probably not doing a whole heck of a lot. 5% isolatic damage bonus during PvP. I mean, every little bit helps in PvP, but probably not moving the needle a whole lot. And then lower ship blueprints for Monavine and Voyager and, stuff like that. I feel like if I go into my alliance and I just look at my territory tab, I can kind of see them all, right? Yeah. You've got a piercing enhancer that gives you 80% to your base piercing stats. Not moving the needle a whole lot. And we got the jellyfish, we got the sarcophagus. What's this component efficiency enhancer? A 30% to ship component efficiency for base materials. I mean, again, every little bit counts, but 30% compared to all the other diluted efficiencies, probably not making a huge impact. Armor piercing, right? 40% to armor piercing, right? So all of those values are getting a drastic overhaul. Legacy services that do stick around are just going to be rebalanced and updated. So older ones like Isogen Refines and combat buffs and such, going to get retired and moved on. Isogen Refines, less significant because of the Meridian being in the archives. So people aren't really using that refinery anyway anymore. Lower level players will still have access to it. They just won't have the bonuses for it. That'll slow them down a little bit. But the archiving process with the Meridian should offset some of that. More recent ship stats, ships and progression items, so that's getting a change there. Dynamic service system. We got here, a new systems being introduced to randomly roll rewards and buffs from a curated pool each season. So manual configuration will not be so they're basically a Scopely programmer doesn't have to go in every time a territory season happens and they're doing a reset and say, all right, what do we want to move over here, what do we want to move over here, whatever. It's like they programmed a whole bunch of specific values, like, hey, these are 1-star territory buffs, these are 2-star territory buffs, and at the start of the season it's just going to randomly pick one from the pool and just assign it there. Okay. That's what we're going to get. Blueprint bundles are being updated. So like we saw before, where you've got Voyager, you've got the jellyfish, you've got Voyager that's in there. I think the Defiant might even be one of them too. Those are being updated. You're going to have G6 epic ships, so you can start sourcing those through there. You're going to have G7 uncommon ships, can also be sourced through there, making it more accessible for people now, especially the G7 ones, which use the new Sigma credit. There's been concern about, sourcing of those Sigma credits and how long it takes to get some of them. When you go from 71 to 73, will you have enough to get your 73 uncommon ship? Well, now you can start getting the blueprints. This should help address some of those costs. That's good. Also, updated side loop ships. Possible ship blueprint rewards now include USS Vengeance, as well as the Excelsior GS-31, so DJ can build another one if he wants to. The Borg Cube, the Reliant Revenant Protector, Voyager Meridian, NX-01 Eviscerator, Monavine, Jellyfish, and Sarcophagus. So we're keeping the old existing ones, Monavine, Jellyfish, Sarcophagus. We're adding in some of our 40 level ships with the NX-01, the Eviscerator, the Protector, Revenant, Reliance getting extra sourcing, as well as the Borg Cube, GS-31, Excelsior. Wow, a lot of specialty ships here, so a lot of opportunities. Now it says possible ship blueprint rewards. So again, these are going to be on like the rotating schedule. So it's certainly possible that you might get 2 or 3 months, whatever the season's going to be, 3 months, I think, because it's a territory season, right? 60 days, 90 days, 60. I think they're 90 days. Territory capture pass is 90 days. Um, so yeah, you might have a territory for 90 days where you're getting GS31 blueprints. If you get one a day, though, that only gets you 90. And then what happens? Now that rotates out, and maybe you have to get them from an event store or something like that. So it's a good way to supplement or to speed up acquisition for some of this stuff. And as for newer players are also progressing through that early content, it again with how fast newer players move up, it's great to have an extra way of sourcing this material. So that's a good thing too. 90. Thank you, Happy Cat. So it's all still in there. And again, with some new ships, we do like that. Ship-specific parts for these ships have also been added as additional services that can appear in the reward pool. So again, in that pool, gonna rotate. I don't know if they're gonna be like consistent, if they're tied together. So like if it's, hey, your tier 1, it has the Monavine in it. Are you also gonna get the Monavine ship part bonus? Or could it be like, hey, you can source Monavine blueprints, but you're getting Eviscerator cost efficiency ship parts? And you're like, well, I don't have the Eviscerator yet because you're giving me Monavine blueprints. I don't know. I don't know if they're tied together. It's a good question, though. Put it on the list. Hi, Voltron. See, I'm just answering your question right there. Yeah, what's up, Rev? Good to see you. And First Wave, thank you for being here. Fight is also here, along with Vool and Benny Hill's Ghosts. You're not a fan of putting ship rails in loop for killing hostiles. So yeah, so you do have restrictions to using the FKR ships for killing the new mining, the new hostiles to get the loot instead of mining it. But there is no restriction on miners, so the higher level miners can be used. You can use Novas, Selkies, Fat FKR, whatever. There's no restrictions on that content. And, they'll mine at a good rate. All right, so this is the big bonus that we're doing to make territory, get a nice big overhaul. Dynamic seasonal services, try and make the thing a little more fresh and renewed. But then they also put out a video. So we're going to go into the video and break that down a little bit too, because there's probably some more information that we can get out of this one. But hang on a second. Let me just see if we got 2 minutes left. I don't want to start another one for 2 minutes. We'll just wait. How'd we do on speed ups though? 161 kills. That's not bad. That should be worth something. 9 15-hour speed ups. Yes. Okay. Now, let's go to our YouTube video. So what can we see? Well, this is the current territory map, right? And this area over here, if you look at the existing territory map, if we go back and we zoom out, that new gold shiny area lines up right here. So what does that mean? This is where your new 4-star territory must be going, right? Because it's the new area on the map. I don't know what AI person they got to do the voice. This is throwing me off. It's like it doesn't sound like Hammy. It doesn't sound like Beck. I don't know this employee. Maybe it's an intern they got. But it kind of sounds a little AI generated. So we can see on the screen there that we're getting, killing the different hostiles. They drop the new isogenite stuff. You get it in the small amounts. That's what we can see from there. We find out, yep, it's Q who's doing the whole tweaking thing. Doesn't sound like Samo. Oh, well. No, I guess that would be an option as well. But then again, they also kind of said that they were transitioning away from their people doing this type of content and kind of pushing more of it on us. So maybe Samo. All right. So there's your new mines. Now this person here, whatever ship they're using, that looks like a Vengeance. That looks like a maxed Vengeance, if I'm being honest, or close to. 500 billion strength, 4 million power, cargo space rather. Hey, that's an interesting officer that they have there. I've seen some over 500, but that looks pretty close to maxed. Yeah. I got killed by a couple over 500 the other day in incursions. But we see here the isogenite nodes and obviously the base, you know, battleships. The mining rate is terrible, right? 39 an hour. But that's the same thing now if you used a regular mining ship, a regular warship on an isogen node. The payout rate is terrible. Okay, you got the hostiles you can kill. They're going to give you the different currencies. We'll skip ahead. The other option is to mine stuff. Again, we can see the different geodes. Every once in a while, you might see this different colored geode, or actual thing is a geode here. This gives a different currency, which is a rare material, which is a premium material, which gets used for specialty stuff. Right. You cash them in, you get bonus stuff. Kind of like the super lat node. Yeah, kinda. Rehash of Voyager mining, a little bit more like that, right? Most of the time you're mining this. Every once in a while it spawns something better. That's a better example of Vool. Every once in a while it'll spawn a different type of node, which you get that, which you can cash in your refinery in a separate little tab, which gets you bigger payouts of stuff. Yeah, that makes way more sense. Again, a concept people are at least somewhat familiar with. Now we get into the armadas. Oh no, these are the different hostels. Now see, it says right there that some variants can only be challenged by FKR faction ships. Doesn't say all of them like the blog post does. It says that you have to use FKR ships or the Vengeance to kill them. So it's a little weird how that's phrased. And then there you go. There's the bonus ships where they're carrying big chunks of loot. Possibly these ones, that looks like a level 80 hostile. They have all three types of ship loot. And then there's the armadas. Floyd asked, does this do anything for alliances players who don't own or participate in territory? Well, you can still, I believe the blog post says something about you can only kill hostiles in the systems you own. So that part they couldn't do. But we did see, at least with Isogen, there were a couple of nodes outside of territory that were just generic and open to everybody. I would hope that they would carry that over to the new system as well. Looking at the map, these areas over here, we get some extra. Where are they? Over here. Somewhere around here, there's extra nodes that have 1 star. And I know, obviously, they did put them up here as well in this space. They put territory nodes there, too. But there was those. Oh, there it is, right here. This little cluster of systems as well that also had some basic mining materials, so at least you could do some of the research for the territory tree if you owned nothing and you know had no territories and your alliance wasn't part of it. Um, I think obviously they would like to see people at least try and make more of an effort to engage in the territory loop. So no, if you're just like we don't do territory or our alliance is too small, probably going to be a thing where you're going to feel a little left out. There'll be a bare minimum that you can get into. Maybe you can still source the Armada directives because right now you don't have to own a territory to go do an Armada, so you can jump into there. Maybe do an Armada to get currency as well. They don't mention how about the R directives. It it would surprise me if it's the same directives that you're using elsewhere. I would have to assume it's probably some type of new directive that's coming out of the refinery at a time gated, just like every other new armada that they add. They're all bottlenecked the same way. So your entire server blocks you. What did you do? All right, obviously we can see here we're getting improved damage buffs and for FKR PvP enhancers and things like that. Voyager is still there. Research speed is still there. This one has a Reliant construction yard, so we can see a bonus for that there. Improved FKR PvE ISO damage enhancer. Obviously these values may not be accurate, right? This is test footage from who knows when this was taken. Level 51 plus getting a 15% isolytic damage. Again, maybe not the most significant, but we'll have to wait and see what's in the final release. So they do give some stuff some boost. There's some ship blueprint stuff. PvE crit damage, a 50% crit damage bonus for 71 plus 35%. Obviously, you can see that they've scaled the numbers up a little bit and tried to make them all, but they also tie it back to FKR ships because they don't particularly want, everyone just bypassing all the content and using relativities and GS31s from 50 to 70. I think they made that clear. So they talk about ship parts, they talk about ship blueprints, all that stuff going there. Do we get any other little sneak peeks of anything? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So that's kind of the little bits of spoilers that they do give us. And obviously Thursday, you guys will get to see the rest of the feature when it releases and get to know specific values of stuff, which will, of course, impact how players review this content. If you're somebody who likes territory and actively participates in them, especially if your alliance is contested and challenged on a regular basis, I know that a lot of servers, tends to end up happening every time there's a reset, is the 2 or 3 biggest alliances kind of eyeball where they want to go on the map. Maybe they go after each other if they're both fighting over the same spot. Or maybe they work out, all right, well, we kind of want to go over here. What do you want? Oh, we want this one over here, so you're good. And then they just leave each other alone, save the repair bills, and then the other smaller alliances kind of just fill in around them. You get your main 2 or 3 alliances taking up their clusters, usually around a 3-star system, and then everybody else kind of just fills in the gaps. Now, the interesting thing is with the 4-star territory coming over here, how exactly that will work and which systems will have flight paths and access to it. So that should make things a little more interesting as well. How many systems are they actually adding in this little wedge that we saw on the map, and what of these systems will have flight paths or connecting to them? How far up does it go? Yeah, that whole thing. So we'll have to see just exactly what that adds. And then, of course, the buffs and the values. Well, that we won't know for sure until everything is exactly released. And again, with the schedule, with these things rotating from a particular pool, when seasons reset, what kind of notice will we have on that? Is it like, hey, hey, territories resetting Thursday, and you log in, server goes down, you come back up, territories blank, and then you have to go looking through each system to figure out like, oh, what buffs are where, and it's kind of a scavenger hunt. Is that fun for people? Or would they rather know like 2 days ahead of time, like, hey, by the way, Thursday when the things reset, here's where all the new buffs are going to be because they were already randomly generated. I don't know if they can do that ahead of time. I don't know if they do it ahead of time, if it's going to work ahead of time. If they tell you, it might, not only will it ruin the surprise, but it might not actually be accurate. So I guess we'd have to sort of wait and see what comes of that. But certainly seems like a big drastic change to an existing mechanic that's kind of been lackluster for a number of years now. I think the last time we got a big overhaul is when they updated the systems, right, and added 5-star materials. It's like, well, what about G6? Now we're looking at what about G7? So, and then obviously we're adding new isogen mining nodes or isogenite mining nodes in. And to make room for some of that stuff, I think a bunch of this stuff, some of it's going to go away because it's duplicated, right? And some of it, I think they're just consolidating it. So, are they changing times? Since ARC launches are going to be on Thursday, and especially because APAC would typically has been impacted before, I'm sure they're going to do something to adjust the time schedule. I just don't know what extent or how they're going to be juggling things around with territory timelines and captures and stuff. But it wouldn't make sense to redo it and still leave events Thursday morning that like, oh yeah, by the way, every time we do maintenance, APAC can't do these territory captures. Sorry. And if maintenance runs long, EU might not even be able to get to do them. If they have to delay for an hour or two, EU might miss out on one or two as well. So it would make perfect sense to go ahead and revamp the calendar a little bit, as long as you're tweaking and you're changing buffs and you're changing everything else. Maybe you tweak which ones run. Maybe something doesn't run early on a Thursday morning anymore. Maybe you push them back a little bit in the day and kick some other stuff around the calendar. In the meantime, let's redo that. Here comes an overpriced mining ship. You think? We just got a new ship. We just got the Athena last month. We don't always get back to back to back new ships all the time. Month number 2. I cannot say anything about whether or not there will be a new mining ship added. What I can tell you is the Meridian is in the archives, and it's staying there.